Chapter 6, The Case of the Baffling Ballerina. This is my third take today because the dogs kept making a lot of noise and I had to stop. So here we go. They're outside now. In the car, Mrs. Kirkpatrick wanted to hear about how Simon and Kelsey bumped heads. But Kelsey just wanted to talk about me. I can't believe it, she said. I've wanted to bring Humphrey home since the first day of school. That made me feel very nice. But thinking about what Mrs. Brisbane said still made me feel not so nice. This all came about because of Humphrey. What on earth had I done to send Mrs. Brisbane away? And how could I undo it? Kelsey's house was white, with bright orange shutters around the windows that reminded me of Kelsey's hair and her mom's. Her big brother Kevin was already home from school. He was very tall, and his hair was darker than Kelsey's. What's that? He said, pointing at me. Humphrey, Kelsey answered, our classroom hamster. Oh, Kevin answered. Mom, what's there to eat? I'm so hungry I could eat anything in sight. I was glad I'd hidden all those yummy treats in my cheek pouch and bedding. I like to share, but I'm never quite sure when I'll be fed again. Kevin and his mom went to the kitchen while Kelsey took my cage to her room. Humphrey, you're the cutest hamster I ever saw, she told me. Thanks, I squeaked, and you're one of the nicest girls. But before I could finish my sentence, I looked at Kelsey. She was nice, but the skin around one of her eyes had turned a bright shade of purple with streaks of green and black. Eek! I squeaked. Luckily, Kelsey just giggled. That was the one time I was happy a human couldn't understand my squeak. I would never want to hurt a friend's feelings. Kelsey made sure that everything in my cage was in order. Then her mom came in to check on us. Oh, Kelsey, look at your eye, her mom said. I'm afraid it'll look a lot worse before it goes away. Kelsey raced to the mirror and looked at herself. Oddly enough, she smiled. I'll probably be the only girl at Longfellow School with a black eye, she said. Probably the only person. Kelsey's mom bit her lip and looked at the eye more closely. I guess I don't need to take it to the doctor, she said. The nurse said it was fine. Kelsey assured her mom that she could see all right. I hope you can go to your ballet lesson tomorrow, Kelsey's mom said. I'd hate for you to miss the very first one. At the mention of the word ballet, Kelsey suddenly looked unsqueakably unhappy. She reached up and touched her purple eye. It does hurt a little, she said. Mrs. Kirkpatrick shook her head. Poor Kelsey. Tell me again how it happened. That boy Simon ran into you? Kelsey nodded, but there was more to the story than that, and I knew it. You ran into each other, I squeaked. And you were just standing there? Kelsey's mom asked. Kelsey squinched up her face and thought for a bit. No, I was running up to the board to answer a question. We were both running up to the board. Ah, Mrs. Kirkpatrick said, so you bumped into each other. Yes, 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 I squeaked. I think I'll call Simon's mother to see how he is, Kelsey's mom said. He's fine, Mom, Kelsey said, rolling her eyes. It's no big deal. But Kelsey's mom had already left the room. A little while later, Kevin wandered into Kelsey's room. He was eating a large and yummy-looking sandwich. What's up with your eye? He asked. A boy ran into me, Kelsey said. Kevin stared at her eye. Wow, that's going to be an amazing shiner, Kelsey. How rude, I squeaked loudly. Clumsy? Kelsey wasn't always careful, but I didn't think she was clumsy. And what on earth was a shiner? Another mystery word. bird brain, Kelsey muttered. Kevin just chuckled and wandered out again. I was glad he was gone. Once we were alone, Kelsey flopped down on the bed. That's what I am, Humphrey, clumsy Kelsey, like Kevin said. I climbed up to the side of my cage and looked right at Kelsey. That's the silliest thing I ever heard, I told her. I am, Kelsey said. I am always running into things and getting bumped and bruised. Because you aren't careful, I explained. That's what Mrs. Brisbane says. You need to take your time. Mom thinks ballet will make me more graceful, she said, but I think it'll just make me more clumsy. I knew ballet was some kind of dancing. In her note, Mrs. Brisbane said that she was going to be dancing soon. Maybe she was learning ballet. Did she think it would make her more graceful? What's so great about twirling around on your toes? She asked. I thought about it. Twirling was kind of like spinning on my wheel, which is something I like to do. And I use my toes for all kinds of things, from climbing on my cage to grooming myself. Sounds positively great, I said. Kelsey got off her bed, looked in the mirror, and smiled. It's a great shiner, she said, but who ever heard of a ballerina with a black eye? I don't know, I squeaked. I've never actually seen a ballerina. Kelsey walked over to her dresser and picked up a pink box. Here, Humphrey, I'll show you, she said. Sometimes I wonder if humans really can understand me. After setting the box next to my cage, Kelsey opened the lid, and I saw an amazing thing. There was a tiny dancer, smaller than me, in front of a small mirror. Tinkly music began to play as the ballerina twirled around. The ballerina was all in pink, with a short pink skirt, as she danced right up on her tippy toes. I was spellbound as I watched her go round, round, round again and again. See, that's a ballerina, Kelsey said. She never trips and falls. She never gets a black eye. I was disappointed when she suddenly slammed down the lid of the box. The ballerina disappeared from view, and the music stopped playing. I could never be graceful like her, Kelsey said. Watch. Kelsey started spinning around the room. I have to admit, she didn't exactly look like the twirling ballerina. While the tiny dancer twirled in one place, Kelsey lurched around wildly until I was afraid she was going to stumble right into my cage. She didn't. Instead, she wobbled and fell backward, landing on her tail. Well, the place where humans would have a tail if humans had tails. Ouch, she said. Eek, I squeaked. Just then, Simon raced into the room. His mom and Kelsey's mom were right behind him. Hi, Kelsey, said. My mom wanted to see your eye. Kelsey, what are you doing on the floor? Mrs. Kirkpatrick asked. Kelsey got up and rubbed her rear end. Practicing ballet, she said. Simon walked up to Kelsey and looked closely at her eye. Wow, that's amazing, he said. Does it hurt? Mrs. Morgenstern asked. Not really, Kelsey answered. She pointed at the side of Simon's head. Hey, you've got a bump. Simon rubbed his head. Gee, I'd rather have a shiner. So a shiner must be a bruised eye. He turned and saw me. Hi, Humphrey, look at my bump. Eek, I squeaked again, but Simon didn't seem to mind. We thought if we all went out for ice cream, you too might forget about your injuries for a while, Mrs. Kirkpatrick said. Kelsey and Simon seemed happy and didn't even remember to say goodbye to me when they all left the room. All right, that's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow with more.